So guys, when this generation of 3 Series first came out, the internet was alight with rumours of this ugly M3 that was due to come. And those fears were realised when the G80 first came out with that very, very controversial front end. Personally, when I first saw it, I really liked it when I was filming it out in Munich. To me, it made a statement versus every single other BMW car. And I just thought it has the aggression you want from a mid-sized performance car. And I wasn't alone in that. Fast forward to today, and the M3 and the M4 combined are BMW M's best-selling series alongside the M2, and it's been pretty much unstoppable, with every type of variant as well, going from CS, CSL, and even the crazy Homage. And this is a car that in the modern age really hasn't had a rival, has it? It's been fighting an aging RS4 and a C63 that was dead on arrival, and because of that, it's been unstoppable, and really, the M3 has cleaned up. And this series was also the first to bring an M3 that we've never had before, and that is, of course, the M3 Touring, that now we all love so much. I myself even owned one, an M3 Touring, for 1.5 years. I know so many of you guys watching this have had an M3 or an M4. So many of my colleagues, my friends, ex-AMG guys, Porsche guys. This is the type of car that gets under the skin of a car enthusiast. And all of this together is why I think that the M3 is this generation's it car. Not some supercar, not some rare hypercar, but the attainable dream, a car that every car enthusiast wants to try at least once, if not have the chance to own. And to my mind, this car has carried the entire mid-size performance segment these last 5-6 years on its wide-arched shoulders, and it's barely broken a sweat doing so. Now, of course, today we are reviewing the LCI of what I think is the best version, which is the Touring. And it's really hard to tell it's an LCI, right? We've got a few changes to the lights, a nip and tuck in the interior, some of it more significant than others. But under the skin, BMW M have done things to this version of the M3 and the M4 to really push it up to the next level in the LCI. So I'm going to present to you exactly everything that makes up this car on the inside, and then we will unleash it on the road and show you just how shockingly quick this car truly is. And I also want to address the future of the 3 Series in general, and of course the fate of our beloved M3. Is it still going to survive as an ICE car in the future? This is a really important topic for all of us. So guys, let's dive in together and check out what I think could be one of the greatest M cars ever, and that is the M3 Touring LCI. So guys, in the model world, there's hardly an app, a website, or any digital interaction we have where it's not trying to hoard your data, whatever that reason is, whether it's profiling you or trying to tailor things toward you or actually sell your data on. Our sponsor today is Incogni, and they're a returning sponsor to RBR, and over the last few months, they have helped me erase my data from the internet. And that's something I want to help you guys with as well, because I'm a very private person, particularly when it comes to my data. And as it stands, your data is very likely out there, your personal information, in some countries, your addresses, information about your family, your financial history, a full profile about who you are. And there are data brokers out there who take that information and then sell it on, which isn't just wrong, but it can be dangerous for you as well. Luckily, Incogni are here to help. They know where to look for your data, and they take the job on for you, sending takedown requests, and they even have a custom removal feature where you can ask them if there's a website that you suspect or somewhere where you find your data, and you can send a custom removal and they will send a request to have that taken down. Particularly, I've seen it being used and I get regular updates every month about my profile and the progress that's being made on it, which is really good to know. So guys, take back control of your privacy. Remember, if they can't find you, then they can't harm you. Use the link incogni.com/remove or use the code remove for a great deal. A huge thanks to Incogni for once again supporting RBR, and to you guys for supporting our regular sponsors. Let's get back to the car. So guys, presenting the M3 to you is always one of my favorite jobs because BMW give me so much to work with. They change absolutely everything when it comes to a standard 3 Series to make the M3. It starts with that glorious S58 inline-6 engine that has been pushed up in power in the LCI now, just 20 shy of the CS that sits above it. That is always linked to the 8-speed torque converter gearbox that is actually super snappy, and in the M3 Touring, it's always in xDrive. And why not? Because whenever you want, you can then switch into rear-wheel drive mode as well. Then, of course, we have M's adaptive suspension, which is fantastic, and a ton of rigidity measures done around this car to make it handle like a proper M car. And that altogether gives you a power output of 530 horsepower, 650 Newton meters, and a 0 to 60 claimed of 3.6 seconds. Though I smell freshly baked lies because of the shocking performance of this thing on the road, as you'll see in just a few minutes. So guys, that is a pure M formula, I think, undiluted by bad decisions, the wrong engines, or cowering in front of the way the car industry is changing. That is proper BMW M formula. And that M formula is covered by a proper BMW M shell with essentially a completely unique body for the M3. The only bits shared with a normal 3 Series are the boot lid, the roof, and the front doors. Everything else is unique to this car, and it's better for it because it always looks stunning on the road. You've got that unique front bonnet that you will only ever find on the M3 and the M4. You've got, yes, that aggressive nose, but one that now I think we're all used to, and one that is linked now intrinsically to all their motorsport efforts. And I think it does look fantastic, and I think it always will look that way. You've got widened front arches. Better than that are your widened rear arches. You've got the staggered wheel setup that gives this car a fantastic stance. And the rear, particularly on the Touring, the absolute best bit. It just looks incredible with the wide arches, the quad exhaust, the carbon fiber lower diffuser in this ultimate package. An absolutely beautiful stance and one of the best looking performance wagons ever made. The LCI, of course, brings in your new lights on the front, which are immediately recognizable. Very disappointing for me is the fact that the rear doesn't get unique lights like the coupe does, and they should have put some effort into that. Inside, BMW M have infused it with their DNA as always. So you've got a new steering wheel in the LCI. You've got the longer screen that also came in the pre-LCI midlife facelift as well. So bear that in mind. And of course, you've got the all-important M drive control unit in the middle with a gear shifter still there and all of your necessary buttons in the middle. You've got your awesome M carbon bucket seats, which are a separate option. Pricey, but really, really a lot of theatre with the carbon backing behind them, the little tickle holes through the middle. They're a bit difficult to get into because of how the bolsters are on the side and then your carbon nutsack holder in the middle. Yes, I just said that. But if you're svelte, you'll love it because it really keeps you in place. If you're not going to like it so much. So in that case, you would go for the comfort seats, which are just as nice, to be honest. Now, yes, the screen is new, but it was also in the pre-LCI car. But there's a different part of the interior structure as well that's new in the LCI, which is this area here with the vents. You've got all new vents, which have got ambient lighting within them, which actually looks really quite nice. Having owned this car previously and experiencing that at night, it's quite a significant difference, and it's quite nice. I really like that element. And then the OS itself has been upgraded to the BMW M OS 8.5. Now, the way that BMW M does this operating system versus standard BMWs is so much better. You have the widget system here, where you've got BMW M specific widgets giving you things like tire temperatures, engine and turbo boost. And then you have the live vehicle view, which shows you exactly what the car is doing at any given time with adaptive content. And you can customize all of that to your own liking. And it's a lot more logical and a lot nicer to look at because it's properly branded BMW M with all their fonts, etc. as well. Part of that then for an M car is the setup button, which then takes you into M setup, where you're able to then tailor this to exactly what you want and then chuck it on the M1 and the M2 buttons on here. And you've also got the M mode button, which you guys have seen in the past. Either you've got your road screen for your driver zone here. You can go into sport, which changes it and gives you a different look. And then track mode will turn off the side screen and give you a bit of a focused display in front for when you're track driving. Now, speaking of the M1 and the M2 buttons, this is a great new steering wheel. I really like it. It's still chunky, but it's got a flat bottom. It's got a nice M spoke at the bottom. You've still got nice buttons, etc. However, an anomaly in this particular spec car, you'll notice that the lovely carbon shifters that the M3 and the M4 introduced are not here. And I found out why. You have to get carbon interior package now in the LCI to get those shifters, whereas before they were just a standard thing. It's a bit weird to me because even in the M5 you have that same shape of shifter but not carbon. They're gloss black, but it's standard. Now you get these horrible from 2015 shifters, literally 10 years old. They seem to me. They may not be, but they definitely look that way. And this car, bear in mind, has ultimate package, the carbon bucket seats, which together work out to something like £11,000 plus. And you still don't get the carbon shifters. It's not much of an ultimate package then, is it? Kudos to BMW M Press for actually speccing a car like this so we can pick up on these things and advise you guys to then spec it, because then I would say, you know, go for a base car, but at least have the carbon interior package. The trim they have here, you know, equally not that impressive in terms of not having carbon here. Now, this interior is an interesting one. Not seen it before. I've seen the colour, but I've not seen this level of interior. This one just gives you the colour on the seats and in your middle storage area. There's a level above this where you can get that colour extended to the door cards and underneath the front dashboard. And that's well worth considering for a few more £100 to get, you know, what is equivalent to an M5 finish inside this car. Then, of course, when it comes to a touring, the great thing is that you have so much space in the back. Yes, you don't have a glass roof or a carbon roof, but in my 1.5 years of owning this car, that never bothered us. It's really spacious, lots of headroom. And the best thing about the touring, of course, then, is the boot. Tons of space. Took it to Heathrow a couple of times while I've had this car, bringing luggage back and forth for family. And it's just chewed it up, particularly with the seats down. It's nice that you have extra storage underneath the floorboard as well on both sides, and you're able to store your cargo cover, both of them underneath there. And the best part for a 3 Series Touring is having that secret hatch in your rear window. And it's so useful when it comes to shopping, and 3 Touring customers swear by it. It's something that the rivals haven't thought of. And really, it's a small thing, but it's an awesome thing in this car. So guys, this car starts in the UK at 91k for the base model, and a ton less if you go for a used pre-LCI. That's going to give you a lot of this same experience. Now, I really urge you to go for the base model. Don't make the mistake that I did and go for extra options, because you will just end up losing that. You'll never get the value back for it. Now, if you do want to individualize, what I do recommend is instead get the individual paints, which are a really reasonable 4K, and there are more variations of paint than I can ever show you on screen here. BMW M offering so much. That's great. You want to make it look a bit more zany? There's a ton of performance parts available for the Touring as well that you can really individualize your car with, including that exhaust. Yes, if you really want it, it's available. Now I smell what you're stepping in. You want more M, don't you? Generation M. Well, don't worry, sir. Whip out your checkbook, write a check for 126k starting price, and you can have this beast, the M3 CS Touring. 551 horsepower, the quickest superwagon on the Nürburgring. What a beautiful thing. And coming up soon on RBR. Oh boys, unholy things will be done to this car while it's under my care. I promise you that. Now guys, one car to keep in the forefront of your mind during this review is one I've already mentioned. That is the BMW M5 Touring, which sits at a really reasonable 113k versus this, and quite similar performance, while weighing the moon. And I really do want to talk about that while we're driving it, so keep that car in the forefront of your mind. Now guys, before we do head out, I want to talk about the future, as I promised you. Now, we know that the upcoming new 3 Series, all new 3 Series, is on its way, and it's based on, of course, the new class architecture like the iX3. So we've got that all new face, and this is codenamed NA0. And the 3 Series will be taking a two-pronged approach here, where you will have the i3, of course, as the fully electric version, but they are also planning to keep on the ICE and the hybrid versions in what is apparently codenamed the G50 and the G51, so the Touring will come back as well, and that should maintain petrol, diesel, mild hybrid and plug-in hybrid variants in there as well. Now the i3 though will only be sedan apparently, we shall see. Then we come to the M3, where things are taking a drastic turn, okay? They have been testing recently this electric quad-motored Heart of Joy concept, which is essentially their testbed for the future electric M3. Quad motor over 1200 horsepower or whatever it is, with crazy motor control. I think the actual launch version of that electric M3 will probably start off by using dual motors and will probably wind up around about 700 horsepower. There might be a halo version, say later, that might use the quad motors, and you know, we will see if that happens. But that's not the end of the story. And I don't want you to think that our current car is the last ICE M3 that you'll be able to get, because alongside that electric one, they are continuing the ICE story in what is apparently called the G85 M3. Now, what is that going to look like? What will it be powered by? I reckon an updated version of the S58. Probably still got xDrive in the mix. If they can do it, they will do a manual. It kind of depends on what the demand was like in this generation. But you're still, I think, going to have that familiar formula, maybe in a mild hybrid this time. But thankfully, still maintaining that, because you need to have that familiar side of the M3 while they take that riskier approach on the other side with the fully electric one. At least that's my opinion. So guys, that's the future. Today's not about the future. Today's about today, the it car of this generation, which to my mind is this beautiful M3 Touring. God, have I missed this car. It fits like a glove. This is one of those cars that you could spend years away from, come back, and then it's like meeting an old friend again. Now, I said this car is the it car of our generation, and that is something I think that subconsciously happens within the mind of a petrolhead. And for a car to reach that level, it needs to be exceptional at all disciplines, not just one. So we're going to start with the very first and the most basic discipline, the one of speed. Let us begin with a launch control. Wow, 3.2 seconds, exactly the same speed as I tested on this same road with the M5 Touring with 700 plus brake horsepower. How is this car so fast? Yes, the LCI has a bit more power, but I feel BMW M are underselling the changes that they've made here in this car. The scary thing for me is the M4 Cabriolet did it even quicker than this at like 3.1, I think I tested it at. So what is the lightest one the M3 sedan going to do? I would love to know, and I'll try and test it one day to find out. But that's incredible. And it then puts this car squarely where super saloons in the last generation from a tier above were. Cars like the E63, cars like the then M5, and of course the RS6. But honestly, this all kind of makes sense to me, because the M3 isn't what it used to be. It's not the, here's a cheaper version of the M5 for you to buy anymore. No, the M5 has changed, and I spoke a lot about this in my M5 Touring video, that car has now become the better daily and a car with more luxury in it. No, if you want the undiluted M experience and the best super saloon or wagon that they make, you now pick the M3. So the speed is mad, and this is not a marketing gimmick where they've increased the horsepower just to sell some cars. There's a real difference here. A difference of, in fact, 0.3 seconds versus the pre-LCI that we tested on the same road. Now, the 20 horsepower power bump by itself would not achieve that. And we know it has the same torque, but now available over a wider band, which probably helps. And I think that they've tinkered with the xDrive and the performance brain of the car in order to help actually deliver that power better to the road. Then you have the handling, which is where this car really shines. It is the closest thing that you will get in a 5-seat wagon on the road to like a 911 type feeling. It is genuinely that good. You've got brilliant steering. You've got a subservient front end that does exactly what you want it to do. Insane amounts of rigidity, and then the xDrive giving you so much grip coming out of the corner. What an experience. In terms of handling, to me, it's the most reminiscent of the M5 CS, which is crazy because we know there's a CS above this already for the Touring, and that car is in fact the fastest superwagon on the Nürburgring, and I suspect this one is not that far behind it. The car is relatively light still, which is crazy to say at 1800 kg, but that's the world we live in, where the M5 Touring is 2.5 tons. It is genuinely lightweight. It's that kind of float like a butterfly, sting like a bee feeling, shades of Muhammad Ali in here. It's super light on its feet, like it's dancing around the ring. And really, there's no other car in class like it. And that's a feeling that's not just good in terms of driving fast, but that light-footedness is also great when you're just I've had this car for 1.5 years, as you guys know. Absolutely loved it as a daily. The only downside was the crazy amount of fuel costs, but the suspension, though rigid, it's still really compliant because you've got the M adaptive suspension. And if fuel cost is a major worry, then I do say that you should go for the M5 Touring, because I think you'll save a ton of money with a lot of this speed element. But really, for that pure M experience, and I keep saying it, the M3 is the one to go for. This engine is still lovely, it revs really freely, it's quick to react, it's still very turbocharged, but there's no lag in the higher modes, which is great. God, do I hate these standard paddles though. They're right out of the past, they're awful, and this annoys me because in the past I would have said to you just go for the base model where you would get the paddles. Now I have to say find one with carbon package, because the other ones feel so much better. In actual operation, the gearbox is really good. It's not quite CS fast, but it feels quicker than the M5 in terms of gear shifting, so a good gearbox there. Coming back to the engine, with regards to sound, I feel it sounds a bit more aggressive now on upshifts, and a little more aggressive just generally in those sport modes, which is nice. And I actually think when it comes to overruns, pops and bangs, and even revving the car out, it sounds better than the M5's V8, which I think is the most muted V8 on the market at the moment. So it's a nice sounding car. Despite that, I think sound is the least impressive part of this car, and I think even a simple catback system would help it so much, and that's something I would really recommend. Again, if you crave sound in emotional driving, you have to do it. So guys, every generation has its it car, and in this generation of EV force feeding and ICE fear mongering, the M3 has been this unashamedly brutal face, literally, of opposition, saying, well, I'm not going to bow down. Instead, I'm going to remain true to my values and give M customers what they want. What may have started off as a case of, brother, with that grille, has now turned into what I think is BMW M's best 5-seater sports car that they make. It is a true successor to the old M5 and of course the M3 as well. And thankfully it appears to be a formula that's going to stick around for many years to come, even in the next generation. Now, whether you get pre-LCI used a lot cheaper, or whether you go for what is undoubtedly the faster LCI, both are epic cars. And honestly, I cannot recommend this car enough to you guys in that regard. I really love the pre-LCI. I love the LCI more. And I genuinely cannot recommend it enough to you guys. So I hope you really enjoyed this presentation on the M3 Touring. Coming up next is M3 Touring CS, a car that I'm super excited to drive. So if you've enjoyed this episode of RBR, please guys do like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.